Well, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We are back to join the summit again with our next speaker. Our next speaker today is coming to us from Sacramento, and our next speaker is Pamela Hadley Chea. And she is really going to be talking about relationship dynamics. So I'm going to give it over to Pamela to share what she has about relationship dynamics. Pamela?
Hi, Christy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this teleconference. This is actually my first time ever doing a teleconference. So thank you so much, Christy, for the opportunity. For those of you who do not know me, I'm actually an author, but I'm also a minister, an ordained minister. And so all of my books come from a Christian perspective and a biblical basis. So the first book that I have available it's called Elegant Living on a Budget. It's actually available online currently at Amazon, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble. I'm working on a couple of other book projects. One is called First Lady Syndrome, and the other one is called Elegant Living on a Budget. Relationship Dynamics. So that's the one that I'm going to be talking about today, relationship dynamics. So I'm going to start out by saying what makes relationships successful. And as a Christian, I believe success comes from being in the will of God. So how do we get in the will of God? How do we stay in the will of God? Well, it's by living our lives according to Scripture. So what we have to think about what the Scripture says about relationships. And I'm not going to really go into the Bible too much because I know this is not really a Christian platform. But if you have the time, those of you who are interested, you probably want to go to Ephesians chapter 5, 21 through 33, and then 6, 1 through 9 when you have an opportunity to do that. Because the Scripture pretty much lays out 3 relationship types in those scriptures. There's the working relationship, the family relationship, and there's the marital relationship. So in my book, Relationship Dynamics, I will be discussing all 3 of those relationship types. But today, I'm only going to talk about the marital relationship. So talking about the marital relationship, according to the Bible, and we all know when it comes to marriage, there are 2 roles. There's the role of the husband and there's the role of the wife. But in the Bible pretty much spells out the responsibilities of the husband as well as the responsibilities of the wife. And the husband is pretty much the leadership role. And this is something that a lot of people may not agree with, especially in today's day and age. But the pretty much the leadership role. And the wife is more of a supportive role.
Can you move back a little bit so that they can see your chin? They can see your whole.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay. So again, the husband's role is more of a leadership role, and the woman's role or the wife's role is more of a supportive role. And I know it's probably not the most popular idea, especially in this day and time, for a wife to be more of a support versus carrying the leadership position. And I'll probably get a lot of questions after all of this, but just bear with me as I explain this a little bit. And I'm glad that it's coming from a biblical perspective, not my own opinion, because when I come from the Bible, then it's an authority that comes behind it, and it's the truth and facts versus my own opinion. So I'm going to talk again about the marital relationship according to the Bible. And as far as the husband's role is concerned, the position is one of leadership. The wife's role is more of a supportive role. So when it comes to a leadership role, the responsibilities for the husband really is to cover, to protect, and these are just some things, not all, but to cover, to protect, to provide, to lead, to set the order for the home and other things. And then the woman's role or the wife's role is one of as I said, it's more of a supportive role. And what I mean by that is the wife is to yield to and to help align with God's will and order. So her position is very important and her responsibilities are vital to the success of the relationship. The husband's role is also extremely important because when he enters into the marriage, I'm just going to go into, I'm reminded of an actual wedding. For those of you who are married or have been married, you know what that whole ceremony is all about. Well, the father takes you as the woman. She places your hand in the hand of your new husband, meaning you are no longer under the protection, the covering, all of that, the provision of your father. That responsibility is passed on to your new husband. So now you have the wife and the husband in a relationship and perhaps children, and the wife is looking up to the husband as the leader, as the covering, as the protector, the provider, all of these different things. So are the children. And as I said, for women to hold more of a supportive role, I know that is not really popular, but what we have to remember is this: when we have a covering, when there is a leader over us, it's for our own protection. A lot of times we feel like, submission is a very negative thing. And I don't even want to go there when it comes to submission, because women don't, the Bible uses that word submission, but it's really, in my opinion, one of a support, one that is actually a support. So when we as wives, when we yield to and we help align with God's will and order, then we assist the relationship in helping it to flow effectively. So our position is very, very important, as is the husband's responsibilities. One thing I want you to note is this: when it comes to the positions that I named, the leadership role and supportive role, remember now the responsibilities are attached actually to the position. They're not attached to the person, but the position. And so once you're in one of these positions, you then become accountable to God for following through on those responsibilities that are attached to the position. And so I mentioned a wedding and how a husband is given, the husband is given the wife to take care of. Okay, and that the wife and the children are looking up to the husband to handle these responsibilities, depending on him to cover, protect, provide, to lead, to set the order, and all of these things, and to expecting and hoping that he will follow through on these responsibilities. And when he does not, this is where dysfunction begins. So responsibilities assigned to this position are vital to the success of the relationship. And as I was saying, the same thing goes for the wife, that the responsibilities that she has are very, very important, because what she is actually doing is she is kind of standing down in a sense and allowing God's order and flow and his plan to work within that relationship. So when she doesn't do that, a wife can actually hinder the relationship when her responsibilities are not handled appropriately. So the responsibilities assigned to this position are very vital to the success of the relationship. And that's one thing that I came to learn later on in life, how a wife's responsibility to allow God's flow and order within a relationship is so important that she can actually cause the relationship to fail if she does not allow God's flow and order. So her responsibility as a support is not only to support her husband or to support the family or to support the children, but it's also to submit to the will of God, to submit to his flow, his order, and to his word. I hope that makes sense. So both of the people have to work together in the relationship. And it will take some work. It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy. It's very complicated, and it's going to take work on both ends. Both parties have to be willing to work and to work hard. And when the people in either position, when they do not handle their responsibilities, then it will negatively impact the relationship. And we can actually see that happening and I mentioned the working relationship, the the family relationship and the marital relationship. We actually can see that happening on the job. We can see it in the home, but it's even more evident in the marital relationship. So when we think about the success of a relationship, we have to think about the health of the relationship, because a healthy relationship will be a marriage that will last. And success is actually measured by results. So when we think about, we can stop and kind of think about our own relationships and think about if they're successful. How do we know if they're successful? It's based on the results that we see. So, for example, in a marital relationship, when you see that there's peace, there's harmony, there's unity, there's giving, caring, sharing, there's selfless love within that relationship, then we know that this is a healthy relationship. And not saying there will not be any misunderstandings, not saying there will not be any arguments. There will definitely be. But how do we go about resolving those issues? Is there maturity within the relationship? And that's where the love comes back in, mutual respect. You know, all of these different things show that the relationship is a healthy relationship. So we know that if a relationship is healthy, it will stand the test of time. So, and this is probably going to come off a little strange to some people when I say this, but staying together in a marriage is not necessarily the main goal. The main goal should be to strive for a healthy relationship, because if the relationship is healthy, then you will stay together. So I think a lot of people, probably too many people, really focus on the staying together, when although that is important, it's not the main goal. So let's not focus so much on that, but focus on how we can make the relationship healthy. So so a lot of people focus on staying together, but the quality of the relationship and the health of the relationship, oftentimes it will suffer. So I just want to reiterate, just how important it is for us to have a healthy relationship versus just focusing on the idea of staying together. Being in a marriage for so many years is wonderful, but what's the health of the relationship? You can be in a marriage for a very long time and it not be healthy. You can be in a marriage for a very long time and it's negatively impacting your children, negatively impacting your health. So, staying is one thing, but being healthy is another thing. If you're healthy, then there will be longevity. I'm going to kind of end it right there and ask if there are any questions at this point that I can answer.
If you want to talk, go ahead and finish, and then I'll open it up for question on you if you want them to hear.
Okay.
So that I don't go back and forth, because this technology is just. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of keep it a little short because I would really like for people to go look for my book when it comes out. It's not available yet. It's a book that I'm working on. And I do believe that the book is spirit-led. Just a little history on that book, Relationship Dynamics. I actually got the concept many years ago, and this was before my mother passed away several years ago. And when I shared with her the concept of the book of Relationship Dynamics, she thought it was a really great idea. And so I was at a writer's conference. I don't know how I ended up at a writer's conference because I didn't even have a book idea in mind. But here I am at this writers conference, and a woman approaches me and she says, God told me to tell you to write that book. And at the time, I didn't even have a book concept in mind. But it was maybe a year or two after that when the concept of relationship dynamics came to mind. And so I just really believe that the book is spirit-led, and that I just truly believe that it will help a lot of people, bless a lot of people, and set many people free.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And